Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to F1 News, and after a crazy Bahrain Grand Prix yesterday, the big discussion was what problem exactly caused the Red Bulls to go so wrong right at the end of the race, both retiring out of it, of course losing loads of points as a result. What exactly went wrong there? The initial discussion was around the fuel pumps, this externally produced part that might have gone wrong. Apparently, some breaking news over the last couple of hours, that was not the part that caused the issue. Red Bull have got more issues to get on top of ahead of Saudi Arabia. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, this of course from the house side, great to see Good to Steiner and all the boys back in action, just fantastic to see. They actually got more points this race than they've had the entire two last seasons combined. So, well, just beautiful stuff. The car's an absolute rocket ship, clearly. This is also an interesting bit of a trivia, to be honest. Ferrari have taken pole and won the opening Grand Prix 7 times in F1 history, every time they've gone on to win the Constructors' Championship. So we shall see if that happens once again this time around. This also, though, like another little piece of trivia that could go the other way. Back in, the last time there was a Ferrari 1-2 in Bahrain, the Sakhir Grand Prix 2010, it was Alonso and Massa 1-2. Hamilton once again gets their third place here on the podium still. But of course, this is in 2010, the year where, Sebastian Vettel won the World Drivers' Championship. So maybe, it's a sign of things to come that Aston Martin are going to fly through the field. But definitely an update to give on that in a few minutes' time here, because Aston Martin don't seem convinced at all Vettel's actually going to be back in time for next weekend. But again, this is how the standings look, just a little bit of a debrief. Ferrari, of course, 44 points. Mercedes, 27. Haas, the third on the Constructors' Championship. And Sebastian Vettel, despite being thousands of kilometres away in his home in Switzerland, gets the same amount of points as his replacement, his teammate, Williams, McLaren and Red Bull combined. It's not a bad weekend for Vettel, but still, crazy Constructors' Championship already underway. Red Bull already with a lot of ground to make up, and McLaren with an absolutely disastrous season that I don't really want to harp on again today. But the big discussion, of course, after yesterday's race, what went wrong for the Red Bulls? They looked like they were going to have a respectable finish. Yes, the Ferrari was definitely the quicker car on the day. Charles Leclerc was just dominating the race from start to finish, to be honest. There was, of course, the tussle that Verstappen had, but after his brakes overheated, he had to fall back a little bit, and Leclerc wins the race pretty comfortably, even after the safety car comes through towards the ends. Now, it was about 3 laps from the ends. Verstappen's power unit basically just gave up. It happened to Perez right at the start of the final lap as well. It looked like he just about held off Hamilton for the podium spot, and then his car just gives up on the final corner. And I actually saw an onboard of Verstappen's car just towards the final corner of the track when he got overtaken by everyone, right as he braked for the final corner and tried to come out of it onto the straight. His engine just completely conked out, and there was nothing coming out of it at all. He just had to just roll down to the pit exit, which he just managed to get in there. You'd have to wonder if he conked out in a different spot, and the engine gave up, then could there be a safety car? Would Perez have survived? Who knows what could have happened there? But still, the engine just completely gave up the ghost. And the initial discussion was from Red Bull themselves, it was a fuel pump issue, because the fuel pump was a big point of discussion before the race even began yesterday, because it's not produced by the teams now. It's an external part that all the teams have to use the same thing. So of course it was an issue with the fuel pump. Then of course, Red Bull would have their frustrations with the manufacturing, all the other potential issues that raises, but it's not necessarily an issue with their car and their machine. It's an external problem, which you would think it leaves Red Bull in a slightly better position. As it turns out, though, that may not be the case. Now, of course, this was discussed yesterday that, if the Red Bull failures are due to the fuel pump, then this is a standard part that is supplied. So this was actually being discussed before the race even began yesterday. Translation here from Random Legend. Thank you very much for doing that one on the Reddit here. But this is what was described. The teams and the FIA are worried about fuel delivery. The main pump from the catch tank into the high-pressure pump is a standard part built by Pirelli since this year. During the tests, some teams had problems with the electronics, which were cast into a resin box next to the pump. So, potentially an electronic issue here. Cracks developed. This allowed petrol to penetrate and destroy the electronics. Allegedly, this was the reason why hardly any race distances were covered during the tests. After quali, some teams asked the FIA to check the pumps. I believe we saw Horner talk about that they'd had an extra hour after a lot of the teams, I'm pretty sure all the teams did this. After qualifying or something, they went through and checked the kind of fuel pump for an extra hour afterwards just to make sure it was all okay. Some teams, I believe, replaced theirs. Some teams in practice and stuff also had issues. I think maybe McLaren might have replaced theirs, like Haas, Alfa Romeo. These teams also potentially had issues with it. Now, as described right here before the race even began, nothing would be more embarrassing than a mass death because of this part. Now, of course, this was the going discussion, right? That, this is what went wrong with the Red Bulls. I'm sure they're going to do their own investigation. But maybe just because this was a discussion before the race and it was kind of in their heads, right? They were thinking about this, that as soon as the issue happened, it seemed like potentially a fuel delivery issue might have been caused by the new 10% biofuel in the fuel and all this type of stuff. That, maybe it was a problem. Now, recently, over just the last couple of hours, comes out from Eric van Haren over at the Telegraph in the Netherlands that, apparently this problem was not caused by the fuel pump. As he describes, sources around Red Bull and FIA Motorsport Federation confirms the error is not a result of the defective standard part. So not saying the fuel pump is perfect, other teams obviously have had issues with it, but in the race, the only team that was affected by this was Red Bull, and seemingly not an issue with the defective part itself. This actually was described very briefly in the article. It is now clear that it was not a problem with the gas pump, according to sources around both Red Bull and the FIA themselves. So of course, what does this mean? What problem could it possibly be? Is it some sort of heat issue? Because in fairness, the car had its other heat issues throughout the race. The brakes early on were overheating, and electronics hate being heated up too far, right? So who knows whether right to the end of the race, it seems somewhat coincidental though, right? That is the very final laps when the fuel is at the lowest, when theoretically getting it out of the catch tank or whatever and into the engine would be the hardest. But yeah, who knows? Is it an electronics failure due to heat? Is it something else to do with getting fuel from the engine, or just something going on there? It's tough to say. There's no more updates, at least as of now. But yeah, that's the question mark really to you guys in the comment section below to try and figure out what went wrong here. And I'm sure the Red Bull guys are trying to do it themselves, because this, if anything, is one of the worst case scenarios. If it was a fuel pump problem that is a standard part, then maybe they introduced it incorrectly, or there was some issue that went down, or it was just a problem with the kind of third-party manufactured standard parts as was described. In this case, other teams didn't have this issue. They the fuel pump was okay for other teams during the race. Therefore, what's going on with Red Bull? Do they have an actual serious issue with the reliability of their car that isn't just the result of some sort of third-party manufactured device? So, definitely a lot of questions of this. Of course, the main beneficiary from Red Bull falling out yesterday was none other than the Mercedes. And this also was described, because most people are wondering right now, with it looks like, at least so far, Ferrari, Red Bull should be competing for the Constructors' Championship this year. Now, of course, the other team you would expect to be up there is the Mercedes. It'd be fantastic if we get a three-way tussle for both the drivers and the Constructors' Championships. Of course, people are expecting at some points Mercedes to get back up into business. Now, the rumour has it that right now, at least according to Mercedes themselves, they are targeting Imola, the fourth race of the season, as when they're going to, try and do this technical turning point. Because this season, with a bunch of capital, this type of stuff, you can't just manufacture parts willy-nilly, fly them out there and hope they work. I think the Mercedes are going to have to effectively suffer through the next two races in Saudi Arabia and Australia, and then hope that whatever they bring in from Imola really turns their car around. Because right now there's so much talk about the power units, the fact that they have more drag than the other cars despite having less downforce because they had to run a higher ride height due to the porpoising issues. So, Mercedes with a lot of issues to figure out, obviously benefited massively, right, and have a nice little kind of points buffer in a way above the Red Bull guys, so that if anything they can kind of afford to have maybe some lackluster performances the next couple of races before maybe they'll be turning around from Imola. So yes, apparently that's when they're targeting the Imola Grand Prix, the fourth race of the season. I believe on about the 25th of April or something, the Mercedes are hoping to bring in a new kind of aero package to turn their season around. At which point, who knows how far ahead Ferrari might be if the Mercedes issues continue, and also if the Red Bull reliability problems continue to manifest themselves as well. A few other things before we finish off the video. First of all, Sebastian Vettel, of course, with a double header this time around, right, with the first event straight into Saudi Arabia next weekend. A decent chance he will not be there this upcoming weekend as well. Aston Martin seemingly unsure. This is some of the discussion here from Mike Crack, and he will describe he was participating in the debrief. We do not know. We'll see how he goes for the next few days. He has to follow both, of course, the Saudi Arabian protocols and the Aston Martin ones themselves, and he's not 100% sure exactly what that means. So far from a guarantee that he'll be returning next weekend. Hulkenberg may be back in action again, but with the way the Aston Martin looked last weekend, it doesn't seem all that likely, to be honest, that they'll be in a good position to target for some points actually going into next weekend. But who knows what happens? The season could be pretty chaotic. Speaking on a slightly more positive note, actually, I thought this is pretty good, as Chris Medland points out. Quote from Kevin Magnussen after yesterday's race, understandably in good spirits, but certainly we did see yesterday much better racing than we'd seen in the entirety of 2021 and for the last several years, to be honest. The Verstappen-Leclerc tussle was legendary. There were so many other, even after the safety car restart and after the start of the race, the way the cars were following each other so closely for so many laps was just enjoyable to see. Following is a lot better. It's so much better, and I think this way of racing is a lot more fun and rewarding. So Magnussen just having a great time. K-Magman, he's back in business. And the Haas P5, what a result for them. We'll see if they can do any better, right? Because who knows how this season goes, as we say, Haas apparently is a rocket ship this season. And just to mention this as well, because I definitely thought it was worthy of mention, there's kind of the graphics on stream. I think a lot of people kind of got frustrated by this, as did I, to be honest. Last year's, I guess, look uglier, at least in terms of the way it's kind of designed. Maybe this year's ones are nicer from some sort of design standpoint, but they're just way less practical, right? Especially when they have the numbers up. I just don't really care about the numbers, to be honest. I know, the driver's name, so I don't really need to know the number. Okay, I know a few of the driver's numbers. I don't remember all of them, but I don't really understand why they have to bring this up. Surely just have the team name up the whole time, or at least the team logo. And even when they do have the team logo up, some of the issues is they don't have this kind of background color. If you look at this one on the right, the contrast is great, and you get to just quickly browse through and scan through and see where the cars are. If I want to quickly scan through for the Ferraris, I can very quickly look for the red and see, okay, Leclerc, Sainz down here. If I look at this one and try and scan through for the Ferraris, okay, first and third, we kind of knew they were up there, but it's far from easy, right, to actually see. And in fairness, I do like the fact they have the tyre compound here. That's actually quite nice. You can see what's going on. They didn't have that last year. But yeah, I don't know. On the whole, the contrast just makes no sense. The fact that we've got like grey on black at times, I don't really like it. So yeah, they need to figure this graphics package out, to be honest. They also need to figure out the issue where for some reason the leaderboard just completely disappeared for about 7 laps during the race. I'm pretty sure it was after Kevin Magnussen, like it said, he was 10th and 10th as well, and he was going to overtake himself. Pretty sure after that the graphics just completely crashed or something for a few laps. So yeah, they've got some things to figure out. I like the addition of the tyre compounds, but the rest of it, there's work to be done. But very much intrigued to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. As always, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.